I have been wanting to talk about this topic for so long now, and it just started to flow through me when I was taking a bath, and so here we are. We're just going to go live. This will probably end up on my podcast and my YouTube, but I wanted to originally talk about this topic. I mean, it's something that's very near and dear to my heart and the work that I do with women in general anyway, so conversations like this are happening behind the scenes all the time with myself and with colleagues and friends and with my clients, but obviously, it heightened when Trump was elected in office and then when the United Healthcare CEO was assassinated. And the question that was on my heart this morning as I was taking a bath, and I'm like, rubbing my body down with this luxurious soap that I love to use, and I was just thinking in my head, like, there are probably so many women in the world right now who are terrified to claim and own that they want money. Oh my God. We're ovulating today, so apparently my brain is only thinking of one thing, but there are probably women out there, and they've always been terrified. I work with my clients around feeling safe with money and being able to remove all of the judgment and the shame and the stress and the worry around money, but with this heightened movement, which I'm here for, around Eat the Rich, how do we as women, and I speak to women because I work with women, but I want money in the hands of all humans, minus these corrupt billionaires, but we'll get to that. But again, I'm going to speak to women because I work with women, and there are specific things in place that I know as a woman and that I have worked with in my 10 years of supporting women, right, around money and sex and all the things that it really has to do with our power and our freedom and our aliveness, and we'll also get to that. But as I'm taking a bath, I'm just kind of opening my heart and feeling into how can I be of service today? Like, what are the women in my community? What are the women of the world needing to hear right now? And what came through was, in this world of Eat the Rich, how do we hold our desire, our want for money, for wealth? Because I know that I've been working with women for years and myself around wanting to be millionaires, or maybe you already are, who knows, and you want more still, right? Like, how do we hold this desire for money, to be rich, to be wealthy, and everything that means for us in a world that is very corrupt when it comes to money, right? And in this world where, again, the focus is on dismantling the patriarchy, eat the rich. And what came through in my head is I'm going to say it exactly as it fucking came through in my head. So we're unfiltered today. It was in my head, I was thinking, Jessica, it's not your desire for $48 shampoo that is the problem. You're not the problem. You wanting to shop at Whole Foods is not the problem. You wanting to buy a fancy car is not the problem. You wanting a safe, luxurious home for yourself and your family is not the problem. You wanting to drop as much money as you want at the local farmer's market is not the problem. Your desire to have more than enough money and get out of survival mode is not the fucking problem. I'm just going to screenshot that. Thank you. And I'm just sitting there because I actually just bought, I use this fancy shampoo that's I don't know, $38 or whatever. I've been on a hair growth journey, and there's a part of me, as there is with all of my clients, where when we start to expand and we're making more money, and with that money, we have more options and choices. Therefore, we get to direct and invest our money in things that are more in alignment with our values. And for me, one of my values right now is my health. I have been on a hair growth journey for over a year and a half now. And it's I feel so many women come to me and they're I want to be filthy fucking rich. I want to make fuck tons of money. I secretly love money, but I am so terrified that people are going to judge me, shame me, hate me. And notice how the words filthy rich land in your body. I am someone that anytime I face a word or a statement that makes my body feel triggered at first, or brings up a lot of shame or guilt or fear, unsafety, is I like to look at that, because oftentimes there's a reason why it's patriarchal conditioning. First of all, as women, we have been there's so much when it comes to money. The first thing I want to say is like the women who come to me and myself, I've reclaimed words like lazy, filthy rich, like being wealthy and well fucked. All of these things are part of my kind of brand and ethos of like, I want more money in the hands of more women. I want more women holding more of the wealth in the world. And because I know, and there's statistics and facts about this, that when women have more money and wealth, they make better choices for themselves, for their community, for their families, unlike these typical men who hoard the money. And, you know, the 1% is the 1% for a reason. They keep it all. It's all in the fucking family, right? They have these networks. And it's coming from a place of hoarding and scarcity. It's not true power. It is false power. So my business is all about 3 core values. Like everything that we talk about, it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's having vaginal orgasms, being a well-fucked mother, doing witchcraft, the dark feminine, money, sex, leadership, business, making more sales in your business, getting more clients. It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. There's always this red thread of arrows going through it. But everything that I teach and stand for is helping a woman experience her eros, which is her aliveness, her freedom, and her power, like true, sovereign, personal, regulated power, internal personal power. The problem, again, is not your desire to drive a luxury vehicle or have a vacation home or, you know, pay for your kids' private school or be able to buy luxurious clothing or buy vintage or whatever the fuck it is that you want to spend your money on. That is wholly you get to want what you want, because I know that women who roll in my world and come into my world, the problem is the corrupt billionaires. The problem is this 1% of men, rich, old, white men, who are so powerless within, so in scarcity within, which is strange. It's like, how can you have a lot of money and be in scarcity? Well, it is a thing. Like, and I work with my clients on this all the time. I experienced it all the time. I started making 6 figures a year and I was still in stress and scarcity and survival mode with money. And this is deliberately designed because of the way our capitalistic society runs. Is it favors control, men being at the top, overworking. It's very like the dominant energy in the patriarchy and capitalism is on your production, how hard you can work, how much you can make. But at the same time, it's rigged so that the very few make it to the top. And I work with Lilith, the energy of, you know, Adam's first wife, and she wanted to be on top in sex. She wanted to be free to be who the fuck she was. And of course, Adam whined to Daddy God and all that happened. But I was connecting with her altar this morning and I was just like, you know, Lilith, please, like, guide me and these women and these other humans who are part of the minorities that these fucking corrupt men are after. Please help us to, like, come out on top in this situation. Like, and also, like, I want to be more on top in certain areas of my life. I can honor all the life, death, sex, rebirth cycles. You know, I can't control everything. You can't control everything. Life is going to happen. But what we can control is taking our erotic and financial power into our own hands. What we can control is being willing to look at the split that happens inside of women, where we want money, we want to be rich, we want to be wealthy, but we have also been so deeply conditioned that it is in our nervous system to not want money. The fear that we'll become those corrupt people, the fear that we'll be judged or shamed, whether it's by your family members or by a certain group or community, spiritual people, or your religious grandma, or, you know, whoever the fuck, right? Like, there's so many judgments that we face as women. But we are also terrified to be that powerful and that free, because it's never really been safe for us to be that powerful or free. It is unfamiliar to our nervous system to be that powerful and free. Look at what's happening in the US. Look what's happening in the world. Look what has always been happening once the patriarchy became the dominant structure of society and how it operates. We stopped worshiping the goddess. We stopped worshiping the priestesses in the temples. The courtesans who once used to be flourishing, like the Inquisition. Look at the fucking witch trials and burnings of women. This was not just witches they were burning. It was women who dared to speak out, to own their own land or money or property, women who dared to live in a way that was not the societal norm, women who dared to follow their intuition, all these things that we can ascribe to like the feminine path, right? Healers, midwives, herbalists, people who worked with the cycles and seasons of their own body and the earth and the moon, and basically chose to defy from the normal path of religion and being subservient and docile. And so we carry that in our bodies. And so as I was sitting in the bath washing myself, and I'm thinking like, it's not us, we're not the problem. And I know that you might see a lot of posts, and I was talking with one of my friends, Lauren, about this when, the whole uprise with Luigi started happening, and like, we were sharing all these memes and stuff. And I was like, I would not be surprised if, and this is why I'm also doing work with decentering men, decentering the patriarchy, and decentering money in a sense where I am the center of my life. I want to command money. Money is here to serve me. Money is here to fund my life, my desires, and all of the beautiful things that I want to contribute to the world. Money is there to fund it, but money is no longer my source of worth or wealth or anything, right? It is a resource, it is an asset, it is a tool, it is an energy. Yes, it's a relationship and a skill set, and I teach all that in my Sexy Money Codes program, but I was just, talking to her, and I was like, I would love to talk with women about how they might see an uprise in the fawn response, people pleasing, to maintain relationships with people. Like the fawn response, when we think about the nervous system, we have fight or flight. It's kind of when you feel stuck on, right? Like anxiety and anger and frustration and aggression and like that kind of energy, or wanting to like get out of your skin or get away, wanting to run, wanting to avoid things. And then we have freeze or shut down, where you feel like you're stuck off. It might be more heavy and lethargic. You might feel frozen. It's immobile. There might be this sense of like, I don't matter. There's a lack of momentum and energy, and it feels very downward, kind of like you want to sink into the earth and just never get up again. And the fawn response is a learned response. It is something that has come as a result of the patriarchy. Fawn being that we will try to appease or de-escalate a threat. And as women, we have become really skilled with the fawn response. These nervous system responses happen involuntarily to protect us. They happen like that. We're not just sitting there thinking like, I think I'll respond to this situation or react in a fight response or in a fawn. It is happening because our nervous system is perceiving the situation, our environment, constantly scanning for danger and for threats, and then sizing it up and matching that appropriate response. And we all have dominant stress responses, which I also talk about in my money program. But the point of this is like, I was telling my friend Lauren, like, I would not be surprised if more women, especially women who have not done any work with their nervous system or decentered men or the patriarchy, kind of fall into this image because we all like fell in love with Luigi Mangione and like, all the memes that were going around. And I was just like, I wrote a post that was something like, I want to be rich, but not Luigi would be kind of rich, like I wouldn't want to be that rich that he'd come after me. And it was just like, I could see and predict an uprise in women kind of fawning and like not wanting to be wealthy or rich for fear of not being chosen by a man, or for fear of like, and we already carry this regardless, right? Like, because for years and years and years, and in some countries, this is still the way that it is. Women were a form of property. Women were a form of currency. We were traded from our husbands or our fathers to our husbands. Families would unite and come together for status, alliance, power, passing on their lineage, their property, whatever it was. So we were not allowed to own our own property or money because we were a form of property and currency. And, it's same shit, modern day outfit, right? Like the patriarchy is so seductive that it can convince you that women are completely free, but you can look at all of the inequalities. I mean, look at the US, look at these other places in the world where women are still oppressed and we repress ourselves inside to stay safe. So all of this work that I'm talking about here is to unite these parts of ourselves. You know, you might have this conscious desire to be wealthy and rich, but unconsciously you're terrified because it doesn't feel safe. You're afraid that a man's not going to choose you. You're afraid that people are going to associate you with the corrupt billionaires. You're afraid that people are going to cancel you. You're afraid that, you know, you're going to be the one that they're going to come after, right? Because you bought $48 shampoo, or you own a really fancy vehicle, or you go on vacation 6 times a year, or whatever, right? Like, we all kind of have this wealthy, luxurious, it's different for everyone. You know, for me, luxury and wealth, this is why we redefine all of it, and we base it on your values inside of my program, Sexy Money Codes, because what is wealthy or luxurious to one person is different for another. And I have all kinds of clients that come to me, and, you know, some of them are like, I just want to get out of survival mode and have more than enough money. And some women are like, I want to be a multimillionaire and I want to be filthy rich. And, like, you know, we again have reclaimed those words, and we work with money personas in my courses, like the gold digger or the rich widow, because those are archetypes that have been placed on us by the patriarchy to shame us for wanting to be financially independent and empowered, or sexually independent and empowered, and both, right? And I'm here for both. Like, I'm here to help women take their erotic and financial power into their own hands. I want women to be financially and sexually independent and empowered. I want women to be completely free. And you cannot be completely free if you are broke, stressed, and scarcity, and stuck in survival mode. So I just wanted to bring this conversation here and start talking about it. I also have a podcast episode titled "The World Needs You to Be Wealthy, Well-Fucked, and Well-Paid Now More Than Ever," because I truly believe that, you know, a woman being connected to her eros, her freedom, and her power from within, and we go about this through money and sex, and we use all of these topics like the dark feminine and witchcraft and sex magic and motherhood and all of that to get there. Those are the pathways. But at the end of the day, a lot of women that come to me have a lot of internalized repression, internalized patriarchy, internalized fear and shame and judgment around their natural desires to be wealthy and rich, to be wealthy, well-fucked, and well-paid, to have that level of freedom and power and choice, right? To be able to, and, you know, what I stand for in this world, a deeper mission beneath my work is I want to infiltrate and reform the wealthy gentleman's club, like the rich old boys club, right? Think about the most, what is the word, like caricaturized version, like the most stereotypical version. And it's like, I want, and I don't entirely know how to go about this. I know that it's not just me alone. I am connected to so many women, and we all matter, which is why doing a live like this is one step in the brick path there, right? It's like being able to have conversations about it, and then knowing that the resources are being brought to me, or I'm being brought to them, we're being brought to each other. It requires a network of women who are free and powerful and willing to do this work. But I want to reform the Wealthy Gentlemen's Club and turn it into a sexy wealth society for women, where more people in the world beyond these rich billionaires and beyond are holding more of the wealth in the world. And not just wealth of money, but wealth of wisdom, wealth, like internal wealth. It's not just about like, I make more money, therefore I am wealthy. Because again, you can make fuck tons of money and you can still feel broke inside. This is why I work with my clients around the identity work and the nervous system and somatics and the body and our mindset and thoughts. Yes, but also like bringing pleasure in, because it all helps us to step into an identity that's not just in our mind, but is actually ingrained in our body and nervous system, that we can actually hold that version of ourselves, hold that money, hold that wealth, and regulate. And not just, you know, what I did, and I've supported a lot of clients with this, where they make more money, but they still feel like they're broke or stuck in survival mode, and it's because their nervous system is still there. It's still stuck there. And so we have to do the somatic work and the body sensation work to release that stored stress, to release those patterns in the nervous system and regulate the nervous system so that you can actually be responsive from a place of empowerment and choice versus just kind of things are happening unconsciously for you. You make money and you don't know where it went the next day. It just, you just spend it or blow it because on some level it doesn't feel safe to hold that money. So this is the work that I'm doing with my clients. This is the work we do in Sexy Money Codes. This is what we talk about in my free masterclass, More Money, Less Stress, which I recommend signing up for. It'll give you a taste of the nervous system and money and pleasure and where this work for me comes in with sex and money and how it leads to all of this. But if you're sitting there thinking like, I've missed my chance to be wealthy, I've missed my chance to be rich because now it's so out in 2025 to want money, to want to be rich. Like, no, I don't stand for that because you're not the problem. If you're watching this, I know that you have you have a good heart. Your soul is here to do amazing things in this lifetime. And I'm also not here to shame people for what they want to spend money on. Like, as long as it's not impacting someone else's freedom or human rights. We can fucking go after the billionaires because they're the ones that don't want everyone else to have money and wealth. They don't want to solve problems like world hunger. They don't want to solve problems like housing. They don't want to because they want to keep that 1%, the 1%. They want to be the only ones in the know. And this is why I say that for years, again, in the times where women were traded from their fathers to their husbands, the only knowledge they were allowed to have was around childbearing and taking care of a home, basically being as pleasing and docile and subservient as possible because that was what secured their survival. I'm going to have to make a whole other episode about that, but we have such a deep tie as women to men and money because they have to do with our survival. So in order to get out of survival mode, we have to look at that because we associate men with survival, money with survival. It's resources, right? Because I want you to just imagine this back in those times, and again, in some places still in the world right now, imagine you were a powerful, outspoken, defiant, sexual woman. How likely were you to be chosen by a husband? Not likely. You were likely to either be exiled or burned at the stake or persecuted in some way, right? You were not safe. It wasn't safe to be that. That's why the sacred feminine was erased. That's why a lot of these practices with the feminine got driven underground and hidden, right? Because it was not safe to be anything other than a docile, subservient, quiet woman who basically just had babies and took care of her husband's home. That's all women were good for. So we also have to look at how our value and our worth has been tied up into money. We have to untangle them because you are worthy simply because you exist. There's a lot there that I also want to talk about in another episode, but that'll come when that's ready. So we have to be willing to look at our relationship to survival and money and men and the patriarchy and capitalism and all of that because it's all tied together, and even the male god, right? Because at that time, Christianity was being pushed on everyone, much like they're trying to do now in the U.S. They're trying to make it even more like the dominant religion and everything else is not allowed because they know that they can control using that. They're trying to instill fear because they want people to be repressed and terrified for their own lives, so they will fall in line and stay in line. This is where the fawn response comes from, right? It is a survival mechanism where you appear pleasing, you appear to be in line, you appear to maintain those relationships for safety, whether it's relationship with a family member, relationship with society, so that you don't stand out and get, whatever horrible thing could happen to you. So going back to that example, imagine that you were raised by a mother who was docile and subservient. She raised you to be the exact same way. Your only role is you don't read, you don't write, you embroider. You might play an instrument, but you basically learn anything related to tending to your husband, tending to the home, tending to babies, like that's your only role. That's what you are considered valuable and worthy of. If you have daughters, they are considered less valuable. You are expected to, your heirs are expected to be sons. And your virginity, the construct of virginity, is also part of your value as well, because if you are impure, then you are not considered marriable, and your very fate of survival, having a roof over your head, having food to eat, having water to drink, having a place to sleep that is safe, depends on your ability to be chosen by a man. So therefore, you have to be pleasing, appeasing, likable. And men of that time, it really seems like a lot of men at this time, they don't want an outspoken woman. They don't want a sexual woman. They don't want a woman who knows how to touch her own body. They don't want a woman who's empowered. They wanted them in the courtesans. But when it comes to, and then they turned on her anyway, right? So I just want you to imagine how that is still evolving in us. That evolutionary protective mechanism still exists in you and me today as women. So when it comes to your desire for money and wealth in a world that right now is very deeply, and rightly so, unpacking and dismantling and decentering the patriarchy, capitalism, Christianity, this more harmful connection to money as a measure of our worth or our value or our level of power, because it's not the more money you are, the more powerful you are, or better leader that you are. Obviously, we can look to the men leading our country as an example of that. They're just little boys. They're rich little boys running around enacting their sick, repulsive, violent fantasies on everyone that is basically not a straight, hetero, cis, white man. So you're not the problem. You have a good heart. I know you want to do amazing things with your money. You're allowed to want what you want, whatever it is, whether it's that nice bag and, you're going to refine, because when I first started making more money, I thought that there were certain things that I was supposed to want because I saw them as the picture of luxury and coaching in the coaching industry. And it's like, for me, when I think about my next house that I don't want like a big, cold, empty mansion. I want like a big witchy home, but that's what I want. I want a nice car, but I don't need, 6 vehicles. I want to have beautiful clothing, but what if I can buy some of it vintage? Like, there's ways in which, and it's individual to you, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, that's right or wrong, because I know that if you're watching this and you're here listening this far, that you believe in human rights for everyone. You want freedom and power, internal power for everyone. Not false power, not what these corrupt billionaires are doing, where it is power over others because they feel powerless and weak inside, and they know that if everyone is in their power, they won't be able to rule and reign over anyone anymore. And some of the shit that they do will have to go because it is harmful. So I am here for more women becoming wealthy and well paid and well fucked, and us as humans redistributing that wealth, expanding that wealth, spreading that wealth. I want you to see yourself as a funnel or a channel that when money comes into you, you get to funnel it into yourself. If you have a family, you get to funnel it into them. You get to funnel it into your community in whatever way feels good. Small examples: buying coffee from your local coffee shop instead of a Starbucks. And I still buy shit from Starbucks in a pinch. Like, I'm not sitting here telling you that you have to boycott everyone and everything, but times are changing, and we get to have, again, it's about choice and option, right? Because I love supporting my local bookstore instead of ordering off Amazon. I love supporting my local coffee shop instead of always getting Starbucks or whatever the chain is around me. I love being able to buy things from women-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses. Like, I love being able to buy from queer companies. I love being able to donate money to causes that are important to me. I love being able to do what I want with my money based on my values and who I am and what I want to see more of in the world. And what I want to see more of is people who are free, people who are being well paid for their craft, for their art, for their products, for their services. I want to see a world where it's not just these billion-dollar corporations. I want to see more homemakers and artists and people who have a passion and a dream. I want to see their dreams being funded and well paid, and then they get to also be a part of the same thing, right? Like we get to create a new economy, and I feel like women being wealthy is a part of that. And again, I want wealth and money for everyone. But I speak to women because I work with women, and I know how some of the patriarchal, the distinctions with the patriarchy because of the way that we've been conditioned, right? Like we've been conditioned by religion to feel a certain way about our sexuality and our desires for money as women. Like there's just unique things that come with being a woman as there are with anything else, right? And I speak to those because I've lived them, and I've dismantled them, and I still continue to this day, and I work with my clients around it. So this is just a reminder that it's not you being wealthy. Like people are not coming for millionaires. They're not coming for you. They're not going to come for you. And if anyone does, it's their own fucking judgment and shame. They are denying that they also want to be well-resourced. Because I'm here for women and all people to be well-resourced, regulated, and resources, yes, and money and internal wealth and external wealth to match. But being resourced is more than that, right? I want to see a world where our knowledge around money is not just how much can you make and hold and hoard, but how can you invest? How can you create a legacy that's serving others? How can you be regulated with money? How can you get out of survival mode? How can you release stress and scarcity and fear around money? How can you have money and feel powerful and overflow from within instead of hoarding it because you feel disempowered and you're terrified that it's going to leave you? And this is why in Sexy Money Codes, we look at your nervous system, we look at your attachment style. As someone who has a very disorganized attachment style myself and can either avoid or get anxious with money because I'm afraid it's going to abandon me, that impacted the way I showed up with money. And sometimes it impacted my ability to spread my financial resources because I was terrified if I spent that money, more was not going to come. So this hoarder mentality is actually scarcity based. And, you know, a lot of these wealthy men are just born into it. They're not smarter than us, not more educated. They just grew up with it being familiar. They grew up with somebody or multiple people, their whole external environment reflecting back to them that they were worthy of it, that this is what they were born for, right? And wealth and money, for those of us who did not grow up with it or have these fears around wanting to be it because we associate wealth with people like these corrupt billionaires, and therefore we have a split inside where we secretly want money, but we also are terrified to have money because we don't want to be seen that way, perceived that way, doesn't feel safe, which is why, again, we have to do the mindset work, the nervous system work, the somatic work, all of it, the identity work, to own your desires for money and associate money with pleasure, associate money with positive, pleasurable things, instead of just like fear and death and violence and oppression and control and power over others, which we do all of this in my Sexy Money Codes program. What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying. But the point is that you get to be wealthy. You get to be rich. You get to have what you want. Your desires are holy. They're in you for a reason, and they will refine with time. But the whole point of you being rich and wealthy is to have options, to have choices. And again, I know that the women in my community, we want to see a world where the patriarchy falls. We want to see the world where everyone's rights matter. We want to see a world where people are sharing resources with each other and where no one is hungry or homeless. We want to see a world where the earth is prioritized more. We want to see a world where, yes, like I want to be able to go out and like be wined and dined in the most luxurious way and then go howl under the moon and pour my menstrual blood onto the earth. Like we get to be both and. So if any part of you has just been like feeling that split of, okay, is it okay to like talk about money, want money, work on my money, make more money? Like, is it safe to even want to be wealthy anymore? Is that just like so cold and heartless or whatever? And I'm here to say no, because you're not the problem again. I highly doubt there's any, corrupt billionaires watching my live. So I'm assuming that the, women in my community are watching this, and your desires for money are coming from a soul-based place, and it's safe for you. And this is why we have to do this work, to create safety with money, create safety with wealth, to get clear on your values, to get clear on and release all of that, the survival mode from your body. Release the scarcity from your body so that you can feel safe being resourced, because the world needs you to be resourced. It needs you to be resourced in terms of like regulated, grounded, open, feeling safe within yourself. But it also needs you to be financially resourced, because there are certain things that you're going to need to or want to fund in your life, whether it's personal desires or collective missions or community, whatever. Voting with your dollar, right? Like being able to funnel your money towards something. And I want you to see yourself as that funnel, as that channel of like money is coming into you. It's overflowing into your life, making your life better. And we already know that when women are fulfilled, which is also why I believe women being fulfilled, well-fucked, like free in every aspect, expressed, magnetic, turned on, to me, that is like the ultimate epitome of like, I am so free and satisfied within myself that I want this for everyone. Like, I've never met a more generous person than a woman who is having the hottest sex of her life, making money, feels completely expressed, connected to her soul, her values, who the fuck she is. From that place, she is overflowing like a fucking fountain into everyone around her. And she's living into some of these bigger desires that are also serving the world, because it's not just about, the more money you make, the more you can give to others. That's important, right? In the ways that feel good for you. But it's also about, there are desires so big for me right now, and I know for you as well, maybe you feel them, maybe you don't, that are going to require capital to bring them about. Some of them, it's like, whoo, that feels really big, and there's a lot of artistic things, expressed-based things. Like, there's art that we want to bring into the world. There's movements we want to bring into the world. There are ways in which we want to better certain technologies so that it benefits the earth and the humans that inhabit it. That's going to require capital and money and funding. And instead of having to, be subservient and ask these fucking loser men for their money and get these investors that are actually just corrupt assholes, what if we get to either fund ourselves, or we have amazing women around us, amazing humans around us who want that for us, because they know whatever it is that you're about to bring onto this planet and bring in birth into the world, whether it's art or it's a movement or it's some kind of technology or innovation for something or a community, they know that that is going to benefit everyone, or it's going to benefit a group of people who it really needs to benefit, so that they can also, like, it's a ripple effect. It is a ripple effect. So if you're like, the one thing I want you to take away from this is that it's safe for you to be wealthy and rich and to want money. And it's safe for you to own your desire for money, that money turns you on if it does. Like, I love money, and money gets to spoil me and serve me. And we have to be willing to look at these shadows and integrate the parts of us that are terrified to make money, whether it's an inner child part that's scared that you're going to become this awful, corrupt person if you become rich, because all she's ever seen is these like horrible rich men in movies. And I think it's getting better, but we don't have a lot. It's just familiar. It's unfamiliar to our nervous system, right? Whatever you grew up with, whatever you've been experiencing is more familiar. It's more dominant. And we don't see a lot of amazing people in the world doing good things with their money in comparison to the bad. And that's what I also want to change. And it also depends, where you're looking, and we have to refine and curate our spaces. But I have been seeing more and more amazing women and humans doing things, and that's all I want to see. I'm not interested in fucking all these loser men doing horrible shit with their money so that they can continue to play out their little boy fantasies of going to Mars or controlling everyone as if they're like little plastic soldiers, Like, we're not your fucking G.I. Joe dolls, dude. Like, so on that note, I would love to invite you to sign up for my 2-hour free masterclass, More Money, Less Stress. We talk about survival mode. We talk about repeating money patterns. We talk about how to break free from all of that. And it just funnels into this deeper work with the patriarchy, because I know that you're here to be wealthy, well fucked, and well paid. I know that you're here to make money. I want you to have more money. I want more money for myself. I want more wealth for myself. But it also comes down to internal wealth, internal safety, internal security, internal freedom, internal power. This is why we do a lot of erotic and somatic based work in my Sexy Money Codes program, because we want your nervous system to be upgraded with your mindset. Because you can think rich thoughts all you want, but your body, for me, what I bumped up against was like, I'm making 6 figures, but I feel like I'm still living in that trailer as a 3-year-old girl, right? Like that's where my nervous system was. We want to update your nervous system to match that level of wealth that you want to hold and create safety with it, because I believe that more money in your hands is a positive thing. You being wealthy is a positive thing. I know that you're not here trying to be a fucking cajillionaire that rules over everyone and tries to strip everyone of their human rights. We don't stand for that here. I know that you don't either if you're watching this, especially if you made it this far. So I know that your desire for money, even within your selfish desires for yourself, which you're allowed to have, my old coach, Crystal Celeste, who is also like both been my coach and a client of mine, she went through 2 levels of Mary Magdalene sex priestess with me, and we just finished our work in December. But she always taught your greedy why and your global why when it comes to money. Like, what's your greedy why? Why do you want more money for you? And what's your global why? Why do you want more money for the world, for your community, for your lineage, if you have children, or your family or your pets, who the fuck ever, like, I want my cats to live a great life. I want my daughter to have a great life. I want to be able to help out family members at my choosing, and you get to be boundaried, and you get to have, like, another thing that was coming up for me as I was taking my bath this morning is, like, I've been connecting back into my desire, and I have podcast episodes on this, on Eros Money Power, how one of my favorite things to do, and I don't do it very often. I think I've been 3 or 4 times in the past 3 or 4 years, I've gone to the wine bath, which is this luxurious, indulgent experience at this ancient bath place. I go to the one in Chicago. They only have a few locations around the world, but their most indulgent experience is a like $600 to $700 wine bath. It wasn't that expensive at first. It was like $450 the first time, and then it's been going up. But I've been feeling pulled to go back there again. And I had the most holy fucking experience there, which doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't have to be a holy experience for you to want something. But every time I do a luxurious experience, it is holy for me, because I feel myself reclaiming parts of myself, inner child parts, like that little girl who grew up in a trailer and thought she was never going to be worthy of beautiful experiences, or to have a safe home, like a warm, safe home, or, organic food or whatever. That part of me who was kind of just used to like the scraps and the crumbs and survival mode and feast or famine cycles, and now we have money and now we don't, and like coupons and all of that. I'm healing and reclaiming those parts of me every time I indulge in like a lavish experience that I choose to do. So I've been feeling pulled to go back to the wine bath, and it's like, it's not bad or wrong for me to want to go back to the wine bath. Like, that is a holy desire that I get to have. So what's your version of that, right? Like, I love bathing in this red wine bath and, being like feeding myself the delicious cheese and grapes while I'm soaking in this special red wine blend and drinking the wine. It's not alcoholic based, so you don't get drunk and it doesn't dry out your skin. It does not give you yeast infections. It's actually really great for your skin and your hair. But I always get people that ask me that. Women are like, oh my God, like I can only imagine what that does to like your pH level or something. So reminder, it's safe for you to want money, safe for you to be rich, safe for you to be wealthy. I invite you to lean into your most disgusting, repulsive parts when it comes to money. the parts of you that, you know, want to be filthy rich. And like, we all have those parts because we have everything inside of us. So we have to own and love those parts of ourselves. We have to excavate and integrate the shadows. Otherwise, we end up like the corrupt billionaires because they are in avoidance of their shadows. And they're actually letting them unconsciously run the show. Because when you integrate your unconscious shadows, they no longer rule over you. You are in control of them. You can respond with choice and freedom and power from within. So sign up for, I would love to know your thoughts on this. What's one takeaway from it? Feel free to DM me here on Instagram or, you know, send me an email, whatever feels good. But definitely sign up for my free masterclass. It is a wealth of knowledge, and I think it's just needed in this time. Like, your desire, again, for the fancy bottle of wine, for the weekly massages, for the house cleaner, for the nanny, for the all expenses paid vacation, for men to fucking spoil you and wine and dine you, to invest in that luxurious hair oil or get your hair done every 6 weeks or your nails done weekly. Like, that's not the problem. You know, in my world, we really embrace material aspects of the world. And like, absolutely, we get to question like consumption and capitalism and, you know, waste and all of that. And, you know, who are we spending our money on? Where are we sending that money? We get to look at all of that and like fast fashion and shit like that. And, you know, how can we make things more sustainable? I'm here for all of that, but we are also human and we're not here to be perfect. And I get so many women who come to me and they're trying to be a good girl in their money, and it's like, just let yourself be fucking naughty. Like, you get to buy things from Amazon sometimes and still send money to that single mom who really needs it. Like, you get to do, it's a both and. The more we shame and judge ourselves, the more likely it is that we are going to keep wealth and money at arm's length. And that is serving no one. Because something I also always tell my clients is, if this money is not coming into your hands, it's going to go into someone else's hands. Whose hands is it going to go into? Likely the hands of someone we don't want it going to. Rich billionaire men who want to fuck up the world. So there's more than enough for everyone. They're just hoarding it. You get to have your share. And if it's not coming to you, remember, it's likely going to go to them, and they're going to do horrible shit with it. So take yours, open to yours, let yourself receive yours. All right. Mwah. Bye.